Hello, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here again from recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex. We provide career advice and job interviewing tips on this podcast. And if you enjoy the show, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes. And on today's Riderflex podcast, 5 keys to working remotely and how to make it successful. You know, we're 100% virtual here at Riderflex. Everybody works from home. Often we get questions about that. We'll meet clients and they'll be super curious as to how we make that work, and they'll want tips around doing it or trying it, etc. I thought I'd break down 5 key reasons to why I think we're successful as a team doing it here at Riderflex. And I'll give you a couple of tips at the end too. But number 1, we let each other know ahead of time when we're going to be away from our desks. And that really eliminates surprises, right? And surprises are what makes supervisors nervous. If I'm expecting Johnny to be at his desk when I call him at 2 p.m. and he's not there and he's at that doctor's appointment that he didn't tell me about, or he's, having a late lunch with his brother-in-law, he forgot to tell me, etc. The surprises are what makes everybody nervous, and we try to eliminate surprises. The key to doing that is letting your team know when you're going to be away from your desk during regular business hours. That's number 1 and probably the biggest tip, is just try to eliminate the surprises so that people don't get nervous. If I call Mary and, it's 3 p.m. and I can hear loud music and Mary's at happy hour already at 3 p.m. and she didn't tell me, that's going to make me nervous. So number 1 is just let people know when you're going to be away from your desk, and I think that's going to solve a lot of problems. Number 2, respond quickly. At Riderflex, we all respond rapidly when somebody calls or texts, etc. That's another key. Again, it makes supervisors nervous if they send a text message or an email, or they try to call the person that works on their team and there's a 2-hour gap in the response. That makes people nervous. They start thinking, were they downtown? Were they running some errands? And then they waited to call me until they got back to their desk. Number 3, keep project boards of some kind, right? There's all kinds of, tools out there, whether it's Trello board or whatever tool you want to use. The key is have some sort of, tool that you use to manage projects and timelines and due dates, etc., so that you can just quickly see where everybody's at and how they're doing. Most companies use that kind of tool anyway, whether you're remote or not, but I think it's even more important for virtual companies. Number 4, video. Everything video. If you're calling somebody just for a regular call, do it over video. We use Zoom, Zoom, here at Riderflex. It's a great tool. So anytime we want to talk to each other, it's over video. It's just like, getting up from your cubicle and walking over to somebody's office so that you can see their face and you're talking to them. We do that here. We really encourage each other to do that. So we don't really use the phone necessarily unless we're on the road or we're away from the desk. If we're at each other's desks, we usually use video, and I think that's key so that you can build rapport and you can see facial expressions, etc. Number 5, regular weekly team meetings where everybody's on the video screen, right? Everybody's on the monitor. You can see all the little heads there. You can see everybody's face. Regular weekly team meetings where everybody's in the same chat room talking. And of course, regular weekly one-on-one touch bases with the people that work for you or on your team. And again, all over video. I think that's important. Now, most of you listening to this podcast, you'll say, well, yeah, of course you have regular meetings with your team and the people that work for you. Well, I know, because I'm 52 years old, that in a lot of companies that doesn't happen all the time. And in a virtual situation, it's even more important that you have that screen time and that face time. So make sure you're hitting those weekly team meetings and those weekly touch bases with the people that work for you. Now, 2 final tips on working remotely. If you're nervous about it, if you're an executive listening to this podcast and you're thinking about trying it, but you're still not convinced, do this. First, start with doing the math. Okay. What do I mean by that? Do the math around how much you would save if you didn't have an office and all the expenses that go with the not just the lease payment, but everything else. Just
add all those, put all those numbers together and just start thinking about the annual savings around not having an office. So that's number one, because if you do the math, it'll help you make the decision. Trust me. And then the other tip is this: ease into it if you want to. Don't just, go for it right away. If you're nervous, just, try it on Fridays, try it on Mondays and Fridays or whatever, but ease your way into it and get comfortable with it before you just turn everybody loose and close the office down. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day.
The Riderflex podcast can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com/podcast to learn more about us and become a supporter of the show. Send your comments and suggestions for future topics to the email address podcast@riderflex.com or leave us a voicemail at 888-964-5876 extension 710. Thanks so much for listening and have a great day.